Beyond the darkness, beyond the human evolution, is Kahn, a genetically superior tyrant. Exiled to a barren planet, banished by a starship commander he is destined to destroy. Left for dead, he has survived.
I'll chase him round the moons of Nibia and round the Antares maelstrom and round perdition's flames before I give him up. There she is. There she is. Fire!
Shield's collapsing, Captain.
Can you give me phaser power?
A few shots, sir.
Not enough against their shields.
The base is stubborn.
Scotty, I need warp speed in 3 minutes or we're all dead.
I've done far worse than kill you. I've hurt you. And I wish to go on hurting you. I shall leave you as you left me. Marooned for all eternity. Buried alive. Buried alive. Sean! Sean!
At the end of the universe lies the beginning of vengeance. Star Trek II, The Wrath of Kahn. Opens at a theater near you, June 4th.
Like I promised, 2 reviews today. Next one up was Star Trek II, The Wrath of Kahn. Probably one of the most fun of the Star Trek movies. It starts a 3-story arc in the Star Trek movies. This would be the first of what was known as the Genesis trilogy. It goes from Star Trek II, Star Trek III, Search for Spock, and it ends with Star Trek IV, The Voyage Home. But this was the first one. This is where they're introduced to the Genesis device, and they find out that it creates new life out of nothing. But also, the bad guys want it. So Kahn, this is actually a sequel not only to the TV show, this is not only just a sequel to the movie, but it's also a sequel to the TV show. There's an episode called Space Seed in which Ricardo Montalban played Khan Noonien Singh. Well, this is the continuation of that story in that episode. However, if you're a real Trekkie and you've watched Star Trek, you would know that there is one little continuity error. And that is, it's not Chekhov that Spock, or it's not Chekhov that Khan ran into in the TV show. It was Sulu. But in the film, they changed it to Chekhov. I'm a little tired, so that's why I'm getting a little bit jumbled up. But, it's probably one of the greatest Star Trek movies, if not the greatest Star Trek movie. Um, yeah, I would have to say it is the best out of the whole Star Trek series. Um, because even William Shatner is really good in it, and Ricardo Montalban, in which that is actually his chest in the film. It's not plastic. It's not special effects. Those were his real pecs. It's just a fun Star Trek movie. I think probably the worst Star Trek movie would have to be Star Trek V. And it's just, I don't even really go into the Next Generation movies, because those movies tend to be just a continuation, like an extended episode, basically. But yeah, how does this hold up? Well, I think it holds up very well in the model work and the optical work, in the visual effects. And here's what's really funny about this. You always hear, which is better, Star Trek or Star Wars. Here's what's really funny. If it wasn't for Star Trek, Star Wars wouldn't have existed. And if it wasn't for Star Wars, Star Trek would not be continuing on. As a matter of fact, when after Star Wars came out, all the movie studios were saying, hey, what do we got that's like that? And Paramount was saying the same thing. And so somebody in the boardroom said, I think we had a little something called Star Trek. And so they began to reboot it as, first of all, it was a TV series for a while. Then it went to being a movie. Then it went back to a TV series. And then finally they just said, forget it, we're going to make this a movie. And it ended up being a long-running movie series. But here's another funny thing about Star Wars and Star Trek. The bulk of the visual effects in the Star Trek movies were done by Industrial Light and Magic. Starting with Star Trek II. They did Star Trek II, Star Trek III, Star Trek IV, 6, Generations, First Contact, and the two directed by J.J. Abrams. Okay, think about that. So, yeah, it holds up very well, and like I said, the effects in the film are very good. The performances, it's still quite emotional. That whole scene where, spoiler alert, Spock is killed, and you just know it's just emotional. I mean, that they've killed off a beloved character, and it's like, how do you do that and serve justice? I mean, it's that good of a story where you're enticed and intrigued with these characters. Not only from the TV show, but it carries on into the movies. And again, it is the best Star Trek movie ever. I mean, shoot, even people criticized J.J. Abrams with what I'm trying to think, Star Trek Into Darkness. People criticized him for that, for basically ripping off this, and they considered that one, the Trekkies considered that one to be the worst of all the movies, and it's not. It's not the greatest, but it's not the worst of all the movies. Come on. Star Trek V. Star Trek V. Come on. But from me to you, see you later.